car?
We have a statement that came out from both Peter Hines and Joanne Grehan, and they were leading a trade delegation. We had a trade delegation to their part of Ireland, which is the western part of Ireland, which is where my family is from. We have family members that we know in common, and in our interactions with them in terms of working on economic development issues, they've also become friends. They were at my house immediately before this incident happened. They were at my house to come over and stop by for breakfast the next morning. I mean, I don't know that the Republican Party knew that or knew that these were professional people that know my wife and children. I don't think they care, but they've released a statement saying, again, I was asked to give some folks a ride who are not in town, and it was late at night, and there was a couple of us actually that did, and so we did.
Who was
That's
in the car?
it. Myself and Joanne Grehan. It's spelled G-R-E-H-A-N.
So Joanne was in the car with you?
Absolutely. There were other people in the car earlier in the night, but at that point there were two separate cars that were taking 4 or 5 people back, and another friend of mine had the other members of the party that we ended up getting separated from.
Where were you taking them? Where's back?
You know, it's been 2 years. It was one of the hotels on the west side. I don't recall which one they were staying at. And that was actually part of the confusion. They weren't familiar with the area, and the original directions that we had were incorrect.
But did they know what hotel they were staying at? The name of it?
It's been 2 years. I don't know if they did. I don't know if I got the right, because some of them were staying at different hotels. I'm not sure, Joe.
Was it always just you and Joanne in the car, or was there a group?
No, there had been a group earlier in the night. There was originally, it was 10 or 12 people, and then it got down to 5 or 6, and by the time when the officer arrived, we had split into 2 groups, and at that point there's just 2 people in the car.
And where were you coming from?
We were in downtown Cleveland. There had been a reception, and then a dinner, and then there was an after reception in downtown Cleveland.
Do you remember what city they were staying in?
I really don't. It might have been Avon Lake, or it might have been Westlake. I'm not sure.
Do you understand why the optics of it doesn't look good, great, or doesn't look good?
Sure, if you don't know anything else about it, yeah. I mean, one of the things that I guess in hindsight I was lucky about is that when the call comes in, the officer is there almost immediately. I mean, within seconds. And one of the things about the Westlake Police Department is they're very good, they're very competent, and they have very quick response times. And they were there almost immediately. And these officers are experienced enough, and I believe this to be an experienced officer, that if they see something that's inappropriate, something results as a result of that. And I guess I was fortunate in a way in that there were 3 people that were really in a position to observe what was actually happening. One was the officer, one was myself, and one was the passenger, and all 3 say the exact same thing, that there was absolutely nothing inappropriate that was going on. Look, as Jay said, this is not a coincidence that instead of talking about the fact that I've received the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police, that I have 8 years of experience in law enforcement, that in 46 years of being on this planet, this is the most salacious thing that they can come up with, and that they want to distract attention from the fact that they have slashed local government fund, which has directly led to the layoff of police officers and firefighters that affected public safety. But instead of talking about that, which we did this morning in Cincinnati, now we're talking about a 2-year-old incident where a police officer knocked on my window and didn't give me a ticket.
Is this the most salacious thing that they could come up with? And you know the life history they're in?
As far as I know, I think I would know.
At the initial call that we heard, the caller said that they believe that the car has been there for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that incorrect?
I think it is, but you know, I don't think it would have been that long. I don't know. I wasn't timing it, so I don't know how many minutes it was. I know there was confusion because the passenger was trying to get a hold, was trying to check GPS, was trying to get a hold of other members of her delegation, and I don't know exactly how much time passed. I don't know that the caller knows exactly how much time passed. I can't say. That estimate sounds a little long to me, but look, there's nothing wrong with somebody calling something in. I mean, if somebody sees something and they think that they want to call it in, I have no problem with that. And I suppose that's what they should do if they have some concern about it. And that's why we rely on trained law enforcement officers to respond to these things and make a report. Look, I thought this thing, when I saw the fact that there's basically a 2-sentence report that, and it's pretty telling, by the way, that this could be summarized by the officer in literally 2 sentences. He got a call, he responded, and it was one person in a car talking to another person. Now, the fact that Jay even had to bother this officer by having him revisit it again, I think is unfortunate for the officer. But the officer is saying the same thing now that he said then. There's no indication of anything that was inappropriate going on, because there wasn't. There just wasn't. And the question is going to be whether or not the optics of it will trump reality, and whether or not the fact that the RGA and Governor Kasich's political operation have their fingerprints all over this, that we literally have an email that we will provide you that talks about that the mayor is looking for dirt, if that doesn't send up an enormous red flag about what's really going on here and why we're talking about it on this day of all days when we're trying to talk about law enforcement policy and the way the governor's dropped the ball on it. I didn't go to journalism school, but to me, that is much more newsworthy than the fact that 2 years ago, an officer knocked on my window and decided there was nothing going on and I didn't get a ticket.